Can James Harden roll back the clocks without Joel Embiid for a second game? Will the Heat survive yet another injury as we got NBA playoffs in round 2 going on, and you're here with BAM to be on the winning side of things and to keep that bankroll growing. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so you can be on all the action coming out of BAM. Now in our first matchup, we got the 76ers back at it with the Celtics, and we see a very similar line to what we saw in game 1. And yes, another very juicy money line. If you were brave enough to take the money line in game 1, you probably saw a similar figure and had a nice hefty payday. Now, if we are talking about a matchup with no Joel Embiid, I do not expect another 45 performance out of James Harden. We saw the 76ers shoot nearly 45% from threes and also go 50% from the field. I do expect there will be a little regression there, and I do think they're still live on the +9. This team showed that they can keep up with the Celtics. Now, if we're talking about a scenario where James Harden goes out and puts up 30, 35 points, I think we're talking about a game where they potentially lose by 5 to 7 points in that range, falling well within this spread that we see. So a +9 for the 76ers could be a very live play, especially in the live markets as this game tips off. Now, that game total at 228, we saw them go slightly over that number in game 1. Honestly, I'd have to lean to the under, as I said, expecting a slightly less or lesser performance on offense by the 76ers. Few points less. I think we see under come in on that game total. Now, in our next matchup, the Miami Heat have been hit with yet another injury as late in game 1 we saw Jimmy Butler go down with an ankle injury. Now, reports were that his ankle was swollen to the point that it was the size of a baseball. Now, do we see enough reduction and enough ability for him to return to the court? That is yet to be seen, but it seems like the books are pricing this game as Jimmy Butler won't be out there. Now, you see the Heat at +235. I think, yes, that is a nice number. However, the Heat are not a nice team if we're talking about Jimmy Butler not being on the court in this game. Now, I'm not a big backer of the Knicks, but I am not a backer of a Miami Heat team that is beginning to become decimated by injury, and that is the scenario that we are talking about if we do not see Jimmy Butler in this game. So -6.5 could become very live. Jalen Brunson has shown that he can perform throughout the playoffs. The question will be, what do we see out of Julius Randle, who has been fairly iffy and back and forth throughout the playoff series so far. Now, we see a very low game total, and this is one thing that leads me to believe that Jimmy Butler will not be playing in this game. 206.5 on the game total. We've seen extremely low totals like this in Knicks games. You can also look back and probably find a number of totals in this realm for Heat games during the regular season. And if we're talking about no Jimmy Butler, it's quite possible that the under is a play there. However, I'd stay off of that one. Maybe come in on a live play depending on how that game takes off. But otherwise, I wouldn't touch that total with anything. Now, folks, make sure you're taking care out there. D Weezy out. Twinkle, twinkle, baby.